All right, everybody, let's try doing a live Q video. What do you think? What's going on, everybody? Sorry I have been away so long. I am a naughty boy. But you know what? Q's been away too, so don't be too hard on me. Hang on. I'm also trying to broadcast this over on Patreon, on my Patreon page. So let me check real quick and see if they're able to see that real quick. Miss everybody. Miss everybody. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I am so proud of my president. He's doing an awesome job with his rally in Mesa last night, just a few miles from my place. And went up to Nevada today. All right, it does not seem like, hang on a second. Wait a minute, let me try something. What is going on? The chat is going crazy. I need to get Lionel does this stuff all the time. I am at a little bit of a, I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I need to get a URL and paste this over into let's see. That's gonna work. Maybe it won't work. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to get this working on Patreon. This is something new. I haven't tried doing a live stream on Patreon. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if it's working on Patreon or not. It is working on YouTube. And let me give you my full and undivided attention. Can you guys hear me okay? I am checking out the chat. All right, so wanted to say a couple of things. Some of you are probably new to Q, and you're probably not used to Q going silent for this period of time. Q's last post was on the 9th, and it is the 20th. So Q's been silent for 11 days. The longest we have not heard from Q has been 20 days. Q posted on July 4th, and then we had 20 days of silence, and Q did not post again until July 24th. So we had 20 days where Q wasn't posting. A whole lot of people freaked out. I was getting messages like crazy. People were thinking it's over, Q is done. And I was having quite a lot of dreams at that time, and so were other people that indicated that Q would be back. Funny one, I had a dream 3 or 4 days into the silence where Q wasn't posting, where I heard a notification on my phone in a dream that Q had just posted. And I just kept having these dreams about Q. And I knew Q was going to be back. And a lot of people were just freaking out, losing their minds, going crazy. Q's done, it's all over. We're not going to see Q anymore. And I was like, yes, we are. Just chill. Q is going to be back. So I would simply let people know Q has taken breaks before. Q has taken some 10-day breaks. We had a break for 20 days. It's only been 11 days. It hasn't been that long. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear from Q until the midterms. I really wouldn't. I just have this gut feeling like Q is going to come back at a very strategic time, possibly when the arrests happen. I am getting a lot of messages from people. It's increasing messages about arrests and about crooked politicians thinking about committing suicide. My blog post today was about, I think we need to pray for those people. I think that God wants us to pray for people who the politicians, the corrupt people in the intelligence community, I don't think God necessarily wants all of them to die. I think he has a redemptive purpose for everything he does. And I'm asking people to pray for those people, that they would come to see the light, that they would know God, and that God would somehow use their testimony for a good purpose. So I would simply ask people to consider praying for those people that everyone really hates, and people want to see them go to jail. And I think there's a good likelihood that some of them will probably consider suicide. We've seen dreams about people making suicide pacts between leaders and things of that nature. I am getting a lot of different dreams from people in private message. And hey, MK Premium, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So I believe the arrests are coming. In addition to, I'm getting a lot of, hearing a lot of things from prophetic leaders that seem to indicate that the arrests are coming. Had a very interesting dream that had something to do with Christmas. That was probably 3 or 4 nights ago. And in the dream, I was with some very, very wealthy people, and I was helping them pack their bags. And somebody sent me a dream that they had last night, and it had to do with Christmas. Trump was actually telling people in this dream that he was going to give them hope that they had a nice Christmas, and that he was giving them an early Christmas present. And this, from what the person said, the dream had to do with arrests. So I would just, don't lose hope. Don't lose, the momentum that we got. Things are going good. The president is having a great time at the rallies. I think he's really focused. In the rallies that he had in Montana and some other places recently, he was really going after people like Dianne Feinstein, and he was going after Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Maxine Waters, and we've seen some of that in the recent rallies, the one last night. But the president is really focusing in on, I think he's very comfortable. He's hitting his stride, and he knows that he is in the driver's seat. He has the wind at his back, and I think he's very comfortable doing what he's doing. He has zero concern about the Mueller investigation. I don't think he has any concern about losing the House or Senate. In fact, I think at the rally today in Nevada, he said something about, we're going to keep it low, we're going to keep it cool. I think he feels very good about the internal polling that they're doing and the ballot returns that they're getting as far as keeping the House and Senate. So I would not worry about that stuff. Really would not worry about it. What's that? But vote. We have to get out and vote. We got to take our friends out to vote, relatives vote, grab your friends and vote. We already have early voting here in Arizona. I think Denise was just talking to Lydia about our ballots and the voting process here. So let's see. Hey, Sly W, thank you. Appreciate your support. That's very, very kind of you. So, wanted to, I need to say this. Okay. I am not, normally when Q takes a break, I continue to do Twitter threads on various topics. And I've wanted to do a Twitter thread on China, on all the posts that Q has done about China. And normally I would be working on doing Twitter threads. I would continue to do videos, YouTube videos, about topical issues that Q has brought up in the past. I apologize for not doing any videos and not doing any Twitter threads since Q has been silent, but I'm working on the Q book. That is what I feel like God wants me to do right now. I'm working on a manuscript for a Q book. And look, I'm a writer. I love to write. It is my passion. When I get to write, I am in a zone and I'm happy and I feel productive. I don't mind doing videos. I don't mind doing Twitter threads and research. It's a lot of work. Quite honestly, to write a book manuscript, to me, it's less work. I feel very natural in that element of writing. I feel really good when I'm writing, and I haven't written a book in over a year. And that's bothered me because, look, I consider myself to be a writer. I've written 13 books, and I've had this idea to write this Q book for a long time. But the question is, how do I find the time to write the manuscript? Because I'm always working on Q. Like when Q is posting, I'm doing research 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day. From the time I get up in the morning till the time I go to bed at night, when Q is posting, I'm researching articles, I'm creating Twitter threads, I'm getting information, and then I produce the videos, and I do the editing, and I do another Twitter thread, produce a video, do the editing, and put it up. And that's really all I have time to do when Q is posting. So when Q takes a break, it's the only time I have to really throw myself into working on a book. And so for the last 10 days, I've been working on the book. This particular weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all I'm really going to work on, I mean, I did my Supernatural Saturday this morning on Facebook and Periscope. I'm doing this video now for you guys and gals. But the rest of the time, I'm just working on the manuscript. From the time I get up in the morning till the time I have dinner at night, I'm just working on the book manuscript. I'm taking Q posts, and I'm taking the different topics that I feel like I need to write about, and I'm creating a book manuscript. If you're interested, let me do this. Let me read for you some of the topics that I've got in the book already. You might find this interesting. Let me see if I have this saved on this computer. I hope I do. Let's see. Let me do this. I know I have it on my drive. Oh, let's see. Maybe. Oh, there it is. All right. So the concept that I have for the book, because I know some of you are going to be interested in, is I have kind of an introduction to 8chan and 4chan. What is 4chan? What is 8chan? Why is Q posting there? Why did Q choose to post on the chans rather than somewhere else? And there are a lot of strategic reasons why Q has done that. So that'll be in the first part of the book. Who is Q? It's a section I'm going to put in there. There are a lot of guesses. There's a lot of suspicion and hunches about who Q is. I've included a section in there. Right now tentatively have a section I have a section done on military intelligence, because a large part of this operation that Q is doing has to do with military intelligence. There's a section on that. There is a section on the mainstream media. I have a section called Disinformation is Real. I've got most of that completed. Conspiracies, great and small. I talk about my particular view on conspiracies. There's a section on timestamps. I've got sections on signatures, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White, Iron Eagle, Hunt for Red October, Godfather 3, Speed, Calm Before the Storm, Sum of All Fears, right? These are all of Q's signatures. So I have sections on each one of those where I'm going to break down all the different signatures and what they mean. Then I've got a section on players. And I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I have a section on the president, on Obama, Hillary, the Saudi princes, the Rothschilds, George Soros, Admiral Rogers, General Flynn, the CIA, the NSA, FBI, Department of Justice, Rod Rosenstein, Robert Mueller, some of the major players, Jeff Sessions, that Q talks about, Trey Gowdy, Eric Schmidt, Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey. So I'll have sections on each of those, and I'll pull out of Q's posts relevant posts that help explain who these people are, what their relevance is to the big plan. John Perry Barlow and Eric Schmidt, of course, are in there too. Then I've got topical discussions on places: North Korea, Iran, Syria, Russia, China, European Union, the US, and the UK. So I'll give kind of, like I said, topical discussion on those. And then I call them memes. And I'm not talking about the memes as images. I'm talking about memes as, ideas, concepts that people have. A meme is really just a meme is it's a concept that conveys an idea that is transcendent. And so a lot of Q's often used phrases are actually memes, like, why is this relevant? Future proves past. Enjoy the show. Trust the plan. No deals. Everything has meaning. Shall we play a game? Forgotten country. These are memes. Follow the money, follow the wives, follow the pen, things of that nature. All for a LARP, dark to light. So I have those tentatively written into the manuscript as topical things I like to talk about. I don't know exactly how I'm going to incorporate those into the book. But the thing is, with the book, I plan to, I can't include all, 2,400 posts now? I can't include 2,400 posts in the book. The book would be that thick, and I would have no ability to leave any commentary. The other option is I can do a lot of commentary and have a few posts. So I'm going to split this down the middle, and I'm going to try to do about, 30% Q posts and maybe 60-70% commentary. Because if I just did the Q posts without giving some explanation and some commentary and background, it wouldn't really help anybody. It certainly wouldn't help people who are not red-pilled. And what I want to do is help people who are not red-pilled. We want to help the normies understand this. So I'm going to provide a lot of context and a lot of explanation. Obviously, in a print book, I can't include videos. I can't include images. I can't include links to news articles. So I'm a little bit at a disadvantage in formatting the book because there are things that I could do on Twitter and on a video that I can't do in a book. So I have to just think outside the box a little bit, be a little bit creative. But I am very excited about this book project. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think it'll red pill a lot of people who don't really understand Q, who don't understand the movement, don't know what is going on the geopolitical sphere. They're just, watching CNN and watching MSNBC, and they're really in the dark. I do continue to get messages from people all the time who are new to the Q movement, who are very excited, who are waking up. They're shocked when they come out of the darkness and look around and realize what has been going on. We're red pilling a lot of people through the videos and through the Twitter threads. And I think the book is just going to red pill a whole lot more people. That's what I see it doing. I would anticipate, realistically, if Q, let me give you a time frame. If Q does not post for the rest of the month, I think there's a possibility I could get the manuscript done by the 30th. At least have the rough draft done in the next 10 days. And if I can get the rough draft done in 10 days, my editor, who's right over there, She should be able to do the editing in about a month, I'm hoping. And my graphic designer, right over there, she should be able to flow in the text and come up with a cover design in about a month. So if we allow 2 months, 1 month for editing, 1 month for graphic design and all of that, we could possibly have the book ready to go by the end of the year. Now, this book, my concept is it's going to be Q the first year. So it'll have posts from October of 2017 to October of 2018. And if Q keeps posting into 2019, there could be a second volume of the second year of Q. And if Q keeps posting the third year, we could have a third volume of Q. As long as Q keeps posting, I would just continue updating and publishing later volumes, maybe one a year, depending on the volume and depending on the interest. If people are interested in the books, well, I love writing. I have several book concepts going right now. I'm also working on a novel. Hey, Cindy Thon, God bless you. Thank you for that donation. It's amazing. I'm working on a novel right now. The novel is actually completed. I've been working on it for about 5 or 6 years, and the manuscript is done. It's my editor. I have 2 editors. My other editor has that novel. She's working on it. I don't have a time frame on that. I'm really excited about that novel. It's going to open a lot of people's eyes to some spiritual realities. So like I said, that's, I am at heart, I'm a writer. I love to write. My issue right now is finding time, but with Q taking a break for 10 days, I've had a lot more time to write, a lot more time to edit, and a lot more time to think about what it is I want to do as far as books going in the next couple of years. Hey, Connie Tompkins, I wanted to thank you. And Did Do Good, thank you for your donation. Appreciate that. Michael Williams, I wanted to thank you as well for your donation. Appreciate that. I'm just trying to catch up with people there. All right. So if you can't tell, I'm a little bit excited about getting a chance to go back and start writing again. I really have missed it. It'll be interesting to see how Denise does keeping up with my writing, since she's my first line editor, my wife, and my graphic designer. It takes her a lot of effort to edit my books and then do all the graphic design, flow in the text, come up with the cover design and all that. It's a major undertaking for her to help me write these books. Raymond, thank you so much for the donation. Chris, thank you as well. Chris McCormick, appreciate that. 153 Angle, thank you. I'm America's medic. She was dying. God is using, yes. Look, our country was on the verge of some very difficult times, and the world was on the verge of very difficult times. And you know what I think about? I tell Denise this. What child doesn't grow up looking at superheroes and thinking to themselves, when I grow up, I want to be a superhero. I want to help save the world. What kid doesn't grow up wanting to help save the world? Do you realize that what we are involved in right now with Q and the president and the takedown of this global corruption, we are literally helping save the world? I mean, and we're not talking about keeping straws off the bottom of the ocean stuff. We're talking about actually saving people from human trafficking, drug trafficking, weapons trafficking, political corruption, torture, you name it. This is all coming to an end, and we're watching it happen. We're participants, and we're helping spread that news. I think it is amazing what God is doing through Q and the president right now. I absolutely think it's amazing. And I wake up every day like a kid on Christmas wondering, what do I get to do today to help the patriots around the world save this world? Because this is a global thing. It's not just here in the United States. We smoke Bitcoins. Thank you very much. Hey, if you need, I would be honored to have you get a copy of the book when it comes out. I wake up every day wondering, what am I going to do today to partner with the president, to partner with Q, to partner with the patriots around the world? What are we going to do collectively that is going to move us one step closer to saving this planet from destruction? Because that is what we're looking at. We're looking at some very, very dire consequences. And look, you can already see what's happening in Europe. Trump's lead, his example of strength and common sense and his willingness to stand up to political correctness. Look at what is happening in Eastern Europe, in Poland, in the Czech Republic, even in Italy now. We've got a populist leader in Italy. Trump's model of leadership is coming to Europe, and it's coming to South America and Central America. I think Trump is having an influence on the Mexican president. He'll have influence on leaders in Brazil and the rest of South America. What Trump is doing here in America is already spreading to other countries. People are standing up to corruption. They're standing up to their own deep state. I have a friend who messaged me who lives in China and said President Xi is going through the same thing that Trump is going through. He's in China. In Japan and in the Far East, those nations, those leaders, they have the same problems with the deep state that we have here. The deep state is a global thing. There are intelligence communities in every country. Israel, Russia, China, they all have intelligence communities. They all have a deep state that is a corrupt group of people that are trying to subvert the will of the people and keep people enslaved. And that is a global phenomenon. And the way that Trump is standing up to the deep state here in the States, he is giving other world leaders like Shinzo Abe in Japan and people in Europe an example of what it's like to stand up to corruption in their own countries. And I think it's just amazing what is happening in other countries as a result of what Trump is doing here in the States. There is so much to be excited about. And you know, you're not going to see it in the mainstream media. They're not going to report it. You're just not going to see it. But I get reports from people around the world, and I can see the difference it's making. Jesse, thank you very much for your donation. Daddy Dragon, thank you. Appreciate it. Mimi Milford, thank you as well. And trying to get caught up here. Boston Girl, thank you for your donation. Appreciate it. Love you all. Appreciate your support. Especially since you may notice not as many ads on my YouTube videos anymore. That is because YouTube has demonetized most of them, which is good for you because you don't have to put up with the ads. It takes a little bit of money out of my pocket, but you know what? God is providing. Generous people like you are supporting me financially, and I really appreciate it. So get back to the chat here. All right. So let me see if I can find any questions that I can answer. Oh, I did want to let folks know. If on the off chance that I get booted off of YouTube, I do have my videos also on Vimeo. If on the off chance I get booted off of Vimeo, I am uploading my videos also to Podbean, which is a podcast. The videos are smaller file size, really good for mobile devices. You can get my videos on Podbean, that they're also available on iTunes. I've been trying to expand my reach in the event that I get shut down. Hopefully they don't shut me down on Twitter, because I really enjoy doing the threads on Twitter and then doing the videos off of those. But we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I hope I don't get kicked off of Twitter and Facebook. I am trying my best to behave myself. I don't want to give them a reason to kick me off of any of these platforms, but wanted to let you know, if I do get booted off any of these platforms, I do have backup plans in place. There is Vimeo. If I get kicked off of iTunes and Podbean and Vimeo and YouTube, I still have a backup plan. They're going to have to go pretty hard at me to get me off completely from my Q videos. I have a way to host videos off my website, and I can put them on my website, prayingmedic.com. And you know, if I just get totally cleaned out off of all social media, you'll have to go to my website and see my videos there. I've been building into my platform a lot of contingencies in the event that they deplatform me like they did to Alex Jones. I have a backup plan. Just wanted to let everybody know that I do have a backup plan. Like I said, hopefully that won't happen, and your prayers will probably prevent that from happening. So if you would pray for me, I would greatly appreciate that. Will be done right, you Daffy Duck, you. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that. Best of luck on the book. Can't thank you enough. Thank you. Jilly Pepper. Hold on, I'm going to try something. Thank you, Dave and Denise. Jilly Pepper is one of my favorite supporters. She actually came out here to Phoenix, and we did some Jeep riding around with her, and the catchphrase was, hang on, I'm going to try something. So thank you, Jill, for your support and your love and your prayers. Tom Reardon, thank you very much. Muchas gracias, senor. Angela Treadway, thank you as well for the support. I really do appreciate your support. Oh, we have Elizabeth Wright, thank you as well. You know, we appreciate the support. Our finances have taken a little bit of a dip since YouTube has been messing with us. So all the financial support really does help. Gives us the ability to keep on doing this stuff. And I don't have to go out to Wendy's and flip burgers, which makes Denise very happy. JFK Jr. Oh my gosh. I should probably not talk about JFK Jr. Because I don't want to irritate anybody or make anybody angry.
Well, it would be awesome, but we don't know.
It would be cool. Look, I'll be the first to admit, if JFK Jr. is actually alive, and if he is working with Trump, that would be pretty crazy. That would be pretty cool. I don't know that that is the case. I know a lot of people are researching that.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Thank you, Denise. Time will tell. The jury is out. I don't feel led to do a lot of research into JFK. I know a lot of other people are doing that. That's fine. Let them do the research. I ran into a gal today who's doing research on owls and some other symbolism that Q has mentioned. She really doesn't like the political stuff, is not interested in FISA and the intelligence community stuff. That just bores the heck out of her. So she's researching the owls and the different symbolism. Everybody likes researching something different that Q posts about, and I think it's cool that people are researching different things. I really haven't looked into JFK Jr. all that much, but other people are, and I think that's fine. I am not a flat earther. Just wanted to throw that out there. Full confession. I am not a flat earther. Hey, Tim Straw. Thank you. Bless Patriots. Appreciate it, buddy. You're awesome. I did want to say something about I should probably say something about aliens and UFOs, because this is something I'm actually interested in. Although I never was interested really in aliens and UFOs I never really had much interest in that. So during the question and answer session back, 3 or 4 weeks ago? The Anons have been asking about aliens for a long time. The Anons ask about a lot of things, chemtrails. And there isn't a time that I go on the board I don't see somebody asking about chemtrails. Have you noticed Q has never mentioned chemtrails? Q has a right to ignore whatever questions Q wants to ignore and answer the ones that Q wants to answer. So I will say this for people who have never been on the board. If you think you have a question that has never been asked of Q, that's probably not true. You go on the board and people are asking about everything you can think of. They're asking about just hundreds and thousands of different things, subjects. So I would just have you understand that Q has probably heard, if you have a question you would like to ask Q, trust me, Q has probably seen it. Q only answers specific questions for specific reasons at specific times. And during this recent question and answer, Q wanted to talk about aliens. Now, why did Q not want to talk about the 5G network that is being rolled out that people are afraid of? Well, because there really isn't anything to say about the 5G network. Why didn't Q want to talk about chemtrails? Because Q doesn't have anything to say about chemtrails right now. Right now. But Q decided to talk about aliens. All right? Out of the blue, somebody asked a question and Q's like, oh, hey, yeah, well, guess what? We're not alone. Think of the vastness of space. And somebody asked about secret programs. And Q said, yes, there are programs, government programs that are highly classified and are not public knowledge. I would call them unacknowledged special access programs. They're black ops programs the government has that they don't talk about. Okay, and you have to have a very, very high clearance level, and it's all compartmentalized. There's only a few people that know about this stuff. Well, like I said, I was never all that interested in aliens and UFOs until a friend of mine started talking to me about aliens and UFOs and the space program and what we've been doing out there for a long time. And he started sending me this information. I was like, what in the world are you talking about, you crazy man? Talk about getting a red pill. Holy moly. I was like, I can't believe this. Now, the only issue is this person used to be in the intelligence community, and they still have contacts inside multiple agencies, and they know what's going on. And I found this hard to believe, but I started doing my own research, and what I learned was very eye-opening. So I would, on the issue of aliens, I would simply say this. And look, I'm a Christian, and some of you are Christians and some of you aren't. And a lot of people have been taught that in the end times, in the last days, there's going to be a great deception that's going to come, and it's going to have to do with aliens. And they're going to deceive us all because they're going to try to convince us that aliens are among us and it's actually demons, and they're going to get us to follow these aliens. And there's all this kind of dark fear about aliens. And it comes from some teaching by church leaders who are well-intentioned but misinformed. Look, I believe in demons as much as anybody does. I have seen demons. I have cast out demons. I have enough experience with demons. I know what they're like. And I also know quite a bit about angels. I know the difference between demons and angels, and I also believe there is a difference between aliens from other solar systems and galaxies and demons and angels. I suspect Trump's announcement about the Space Force, you notice he talks about it at every single rally, but he never says anything more than, hey, did you know we have a new branch of the military called the Space Force? It's not NASA. It's a branch of the military. What does that tell you? that they're using space technology for defense, for national security and defense. Weapons in space. Okay? Now, my suspicion is we've been doing this for a long time, and Trump is now going to reveal some of what we've been doing for a long time. We're going to start learning things, and they will couch this stuff as new discoveries, new information, new breakthroughs. But according to this friend of mine, this stuff has been going on for a long time. And they're going to red pill us, and it's going to take people a long time to be able to accept what has been happening behind closed doors for a long time. That is my take on the whole alien thing. I have a brother. He died. He used to work in Area 51. He was a meteorologist. He worked on the Star Wars program during the Reagan administration. And I know that he was involved in some pretty crazy stuff. He wouldn't tell me because of security clearance. But I know in my knower that there's some stuff going on there that most people don't know about and are going to be very shocked when they find out what was happening. But it'll be rolled out, I think, slowly, so as not to cause people to freak out and panic, because that is what people tend to do when you shove a big red pill down their throat that they're not ready for. And Trump's people...
I have some comment here.
Comment.
Somebody said Q didn't say aliens. He said we are not alone.
He said we are not alone. That is correct.
It was an answer to a question about aliens, so,
right? Q. The question was, Q, Roswell, are we alone? And Q said, no. Think of the vastness of space. All right. I'm interpreting Q's answer as a confirmation of aliens, but it could have been an answer about demons or angels. When people say, are we alone? What does that mean? I mean, Q could have said, well, there's somebody sitting right next to you. You're not alone. Or, I feel like I'm alone in the Q movement. No, you're not alone. It's where we go one, we go all. We're all together. You're not alone. Q could have been answering that question. Q could have been talking about the difference between humans and demons or angels. I personally believe, I could be wrong, I personally believe Q is actually talking about aliens. But Q didn't say they were talking about aliens. The question was, are we alone? And Q said no. Now, you can interpret that however you want. I happen to interpret that in the direction of confirmation that there's aliens, but maybe I was reading too much into that. It's possible. Ping Lee, thank you for your financial support. You are a patriot. Let's see. Deb Janis, enjoy your books. Praying for you and POTUS. We are in the last days of making sure patriots vote November 6th. We sure are. We have to get out the vote. And look, I've been following Larry Schweikert on Twitter. Larry lives here in Arizona, not far from where I live. He lives in Chandler. And he is really good at analyzing voting trends. He was one of the few people who correctly predicted that Trump would be elected in 2016. Larry doesn't do polls. Larry looks at trends concerning primaries, elections, and ballots. When people request ballots, when people mail in ballots, he looks at the evidence, he looks at the trends of people who are requesting Republican, Independent, or Democrat ballots. That's the data that he looks at. He has been looking at the ballot returns, early voting. He's been looking at ballot requests from a lot of different places. And Larry sees us picking up a fair number of seats in the Senate and probably a fair number of seats in the House. Around the election time, I always pay pretty close attention to what he's doing. He's not a Q follower, but he is very good at analyzing elections. And he feels we're in really good shape in almost all of the races that matter. And he sees us picking up a bunch of seats in the House and Senate. So If you're concerned about the blue wave, I would not be concerned about it. However, don't be complacent. We do need to get out and vote. Laura Insall, thank you very much for your donation. Appreciate it. All right. Honey, are you seeing any questions in there I need to answer?
It just flies by so fast, it's hard to...
Well, there's only 5,000 people on the
gosh.
live on here. Susan, thank you very much. Susan Chatburn.
Said they read your American Sniper book, and it was great.
Somebody read my American Sniper book. Nobody reads my book, American Sniper. If you're interested in spiritual warfare, and if you're interested in dream interpretation, you might want to check out that little book, American Sniper. It's a well-kept secret. I talk a lot in there about how my dreams early on portrayed spiritual warfare and how God was teaching me about symbolism of spiritual warfare. And it follows the plot of the movie American Sniper. One of the books I wrote on duty when I was working as a medic. You can get any of my books on Amazon. Don't tell anybody they're on Amazon. I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon because it's Jeff Bezos is the CEO. But I am a self-published author, and all of my books are available on Amazon. You can also order them through Barnes & Noble. If you need books shipped internationally, you can actually get them through the Book Depository. They'll ship them anywhere in the world, as far as I know. Oh, the Federal Reserve. Good. Somebody just brought up the Fed. Okay. Have you noticed that Trump is going hard on the Federal Reserve? Have you noticed? I have. All right. So the Fed continues to raise interest rates. And their reason for raising the interest rates is, oh, the economy is doing so well. We've got stock market gains. We don't want to cause inflation, right? Normally, under Keynesian economic theory, you raise interest rates to tighten up lending so that you don't cause too rapid of an inflation of your economy. You don't want inflation, is what you're trying to do. I actually wrote a book called A Kingdom View of Economic Collapse, and it's all about inflation and hyperinflation. And I'm not going to bore you to death with the details of that, but the Fed raises interest rates to keep inflation in check, and I haven't seen any indication that we're looking at any kind of serious inflationary numbers. I mean, there isn't a whole lot of inflation. I don't know why the Fed is ratcheting up the interest rates. It doesn't make any sense to me. Trump has noticed, and Trump has been talking pretty harshly toward the Fed. Now, in the first question and answer session that Q had back in April, I think it was, one of the Anons asked, what about the Fed? And Q said, structure. So Q has indicated that Trump is thinking of restructuring the Fed. It would be, yes, honey?
Somebody keeps asking, what is Larry's last name again? Larry Schweikert?
Larry Schweikert. Larry Schweikert, Schweikart. He's on Twitter. You can find him. Kart. Okay. Yeah, you can find him on Twitter. Really good guy to follow as far as elections go. He's a straight shooter, and he has good accuracy. So, back to the Fed. Trump would have a very difficult time just completely demolishing the Federal Reserve. I have some friends who are in the banking industry, and they have said if Trump just blew up the Fed, it would crater the markets. The financial markets would be devastated. You can't just unplug the Federal Reserve and get rid of it overnight. It would require getting rid of all the Federal Reserve banks in all Philadelphia, Dallas, Chicago. It's a very complex system. Getting rid of the Fed would not be a very clean, and doing it suddenly would be disastrous. You would just crater the markets. People would lose money. It would be pandemonium. So Trump is going to do something to the Fed. He knows about the corruption. He knows how it is structured, that it feeds money to corrupt people. That's the problem. My guess is Trump and his smart people that he has working for him, they're going to figure out a way to restructure the Fed, to remove the corrupt component from it, so that it functions the way it's supposed to function without the corruption and without unnecessary manipulation of the markets. And look, if they just got rid of the Fed completely after the the devastation, you would have competitive interest rates. It would be a free market. And banks would have to set interest rates competitively. And they'd just compete against each other for lenders, for lending opportunities. I think that's something like what Trump would probably want to move toward, is not a Fed that is so in control of the interest rates, the prime rate, but one that would allow the market to dictate interest rates and not have them, manipulated by a board of directors. That's just not a very good way to do things. It has caused a lot of problems in the past, and I think Trump and his geniuses, they're going to figure out a way to restructure the Fed, that in a way that it won't just devastate the markets and will still give us the kind of freedom that we need to have in the financial markets. So that's my take on the Fed, for what it's worth. That and $3 will buy you a cup of coffee.
Hey, people are asking, don't you know about the Nephilim?
The Nephilim.
Just make a brief statement on that. 'Cause you know about it.
Designer Medical. Patriot, if you're also a Christian, pray for this. Check out POTUSShield.org online or by conference call, prophetic prayer alerts. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you. I just got to catch up to people in the top chat here real quick. DS Carrick 1, thank you for your financial support. And Nancy Williamson, thank you very much. Okay, the Nephilim. What about the Nephilim? Well, a wise man once said, well, I should give you some context. In the ministry of Jesus, he was just about to start his public ministry, and he was going to do his first miracle. And the first miracle Jesus did was turning water into wine. Now just think about that for a minute, because you have a bunch of people who are drunk at a wedding party. They're already kind of plastered. And the first miracle of Jesus is he turns water into wine so they can get even more drunk. But when Mary noticed there wasn't any wine, right, and the servants noticed there weren't any wine, they came to Mary and said, hey, what do we do? She went to Jesus and said, can you do something about, we don't have any more wine? And he was like, it's not my time. Right? So she walks away kind of scratching her head. And then a few minutes later, he says, hey, it's time. Go get the water pots, bring them over here, and I'll see what I can do. And Mary said, whatever he says, do it. Right? Well, my admonition to everyone is whatever God tells you to do, do it. All right. I try to be led by the Spirit. I try to hear what God is saying, hear the voice of God, obey what he is telling me to do, follow the things he's telling me to follow, ignore the things he tells me to ignore, or the things he doesn't talk to me about. There's a lot of subjects that God does not talk to me about. And there's subjects that God does talk to other people about. Now, if you talk to Randy DeMain, Randy DeMain gets a lot of revelation about the Nephilim.
And who's the other guy we used to listen to?
Chuck Missler.
Chuck Missler.
Chuck Missler, Randy DeMain, people like that, they're very interested in the Nephilim, right? Goes back to Genesis 6. Nephilim is this half-breed between angels and men. Well, Randy DeMain actually wrote a book on the Nephilim, and I haven't read it. I know what it's about. I've studied the Nephilim a little bit, not a lot, and God has never spoken to me about the Nephilim as far as I know. Maybe I had a dream and I forgot about it or something, but it's really not on my radar. So I'm not dismissing the Nephilim as an irrelevant subject. It's just something that God doesn't talk to me about that much. Now, you want to talk about FISA and the Department of Justice and Jeff Sessions and what's going on and all that in politics. God is talking to me about that stuff all the time. He's just like, oh, I got some more stuff I want to tell you about. And I love the dreams I get from God about the president and about world leaders and politics. For a person who was never interested in politics, holy moly, God has really gotten my attention over the last couple of years. Not even kidding. Blake Smith, thank you for your donation. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. So, yeah, I mean, I know there are people who are very interested in Nephilim. It's just not a subject that I really get much from God about. Will we conquer the mainstream media? Trump is going to destroy the mainstream media. That was one of the very first dreams I had about Trump. Back in the 2016 election, I saw Trump in this war to the death with the mainstream media. And I didn't really know what was going on at the time. I wasn't red-pilled. I thought Trump was just some big mouth billionaire who was going to, lose another election. But I saw in this dream Trump and the mainstream media in a battle to the death. And I knew if it kept going, only one of them was going to walk away. He was either going to destroy the media or they were going to destroy him. And I think the mainstream, when the corrupt people in government and in business get taken down and get arrested, the mainstream media, their strings of control are going to get cut. And they're going to have no choice but to either close up shop or flip the narrative and start reporting things honestly and supporting Trump. If they don't, they're going to get blown up. They'll self-destruct. So if you watch, you'll see Trump is obviously in a war, but you will also begin to notice the media starting to soften some of their stories. And especially when the arrests happen. I think when the arrests happen, it's going to be very difficult for the media to continue attacking Trump the way they have and supporting his opponents. Something's going to have to give. If they don't flip, they'll be out of business. Nettie, have I had any dreams lately? Yes, a lot of dreams. Oh gosh, I had a dream 2 nights ago that made me concerned that we as a society have accidentally, kind of inadvertently, come into agreement with the enemy in some things. And what I saw in this dream was our movement, the Q movement, us people, were not able to move forward until we came out of agreement with the enemy and came into agreement with what God was actually planning to do. We had kind of mistakenly thought we understood what was going on, and actually we didn't. And that is why I wrote my recent blog post about praying for these corrupt political leaders, because I think God wants to do a redemptive work through them, and we're missing out on that. And I think he wants us to get that. So that's one of the recent dreams that I've had. I'm trying to think. Some of the dreams I have lately are kind of weird, and it's hard to describe them, let alone figure out what they mean. But that is one dream that I had. Thank you, by the way, for your financial support. TB, thank you. Appreciate the hard work. This is a labor of love. I really love doing this. Eric Welch, thank you very much for your support. Let me see if I can get some more questions here real quick.
asked about, will we really take down the media, the mainstream media?
Oh, don't, the mainstream media is going down. Don't even worry about that. Praying from the courts of heaven, Beach Girl. That is a really good idea. When I woke up from that dream that I had, not last night, but the night before, I was very concerned when I woke up from that dream, because it wasn't just my awareness that we as a group of people had screwed up. I had screwed up too. And the first thing I did was, I was like, okay, I guess I need to go to the court of heaven and get this thing taken care of. And I did my little court case in heaven, and I heard the judge. As I went through the process of repenting and renouncing and fixing things, the judge kept saying, so ordered, so ordered, so ordered. So yes, praying from the court of heaven is a really good idea. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have this little book. If you're interested, you can pick it up on Amazon for 99 cents, the ebook, called Defeating Your Adversary in the Court of Heaven. And it is just a little down and dirty process where the Lord showed me how we can, as representatives of God's kingdom, we can actually go before the court of heaven and present cases, and we can get issues taken care of. And I've learned a lot, and I've had some really good success doing it. It's not rocket science. It seems a bit weird. It's not definitely something that your Sunday morning pastor will not teach you about, which is why I wrote the book. But yeah, going to the court of heaven is always a good idea. Vanessa Kahn says, God bless you and Denise for all your work. Pray for us, POTUS, FLOTUS, and Kavanaugh. We need to keep our people in prayer. Thank you for keeping us in prayer.
Yeah, tonight is the witchcraft thing.
Yes. Look.
So pray for protection
the
from the witchcraft.
The witches are going to be putting hexes and curses on Trump and Kavanaugh and good people. So we need to fight against that. We need to pray as we're led by God, maybe go to the court of heavens, break some witchcraft curses, and we need to be on guard and know that there's some serious work out there by the kingdom of darkness that is trying to destroy what God is doing through Trump. Aqua Links, thank you very much. CP Gleason 72, thank you as well. And Alicia Previn, thank you for your financial support. Saudi Arabia and the reporter. All right. I have not weighed in on that whole issue because Trump has not weighed in on that issue and Mike Pompeo has not weighed in on that issue. If Chuck Schumer and a lot of the president's enemies are demanding that we do something, that we punish Saudi Arabia, that we take some action before the investigation is complete, what does that tell you? They have an agenda. They want us to take action against Saudi Arabia before the investigation is even done. What did Mike Pompeo say? I was on Twitter and I was reading a guy who had a transcript of a message that Mike Pompeo gave from Saudi Arabia. And he, at the time, didn't even acknowledge that this guy had been killed yet. All he said was he is missing. They would only acknowledge that he was missing. They would not acknowledge that he was even dead yet because they had no evidence that he was dead. And this was 2 or 3 days ago. All right. Kindness Shields, thank you very much for your financial support. I'm going to be praying for you. Appreciate it. And Claudia Wood says, God bless you for your time and work, the kingdom. Thank you, Claudia. All right. So, I have not weighed in on this issue. Trump said, when this first came out, if there are audio or videotapes, he would like to hear them or see them if they exist. And the reporters were pressing him and they were pushing him. well, you need to condemn this and you need to go after Saudi. And he said, I would like to hear the audio and video if they exist. He said it 3 times, if they exist. I am not convinced that there is audio and video. And we've noticed in the last 2 days, the story keeps changing about what happened. So I think it is very likely that we're not getting the true story. I think it's very likely that something else happened. And if you want to know what may have happened, go on George Webb's YouTube channel and listen to what George Webb, his videos from the last 2 days about Khashoggi. George Webb has a lot of history and a lot of information about Khashoggi, about the fact that he was actually Saudi intelligence. He's been in the Saudi intelligence community for about 40 years. That it looks, according to George Webb, it looks like Khashoggi was actually part of an attempted coup to take out Mohammed bin Salman. And they found out about it, and they ended it. That is what George Webb thinks. He has a lot of very interesting information about Khashoggi and his past and the people he was working with in Saudi intelligence and the 17 people who flew in. If you want some interesting insight, look at what George Webb has said on his YouTube channel for the last 2 days. Go in there and check out his videos. I just listened to him, and I was pretty impressed. I think Webb is probably on the right track. I anticipate we're going to find out that we were not told the truth, and that maybe there was a coup, an attempted coup, and they had to put it down. I don't think that we're getting the right story. So it's good to not make judgments yet. Jules Wallace, thank you for your financial support. Let's see. Michael Starkey, thank you. Mazur Rackham X, thank you very much. Thank you for avoiding sensationalism. I'm doing my best to avoid sensationalism. I don't think sensationalism helps people. What has Q continually told us? Think logically. Expand your thinking. Look at the facts. Look at what we know. Don't jump to conclusions and don't be sensational. So thank you for supporting it. Jason Chimes, thank you for your support as well. Inner Healing 321, thank you for your support. Susan Rhodes, I'm trusting Q. Many thanks for all your work. Blessings. Doug F610, $25 PayPal on this also. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate your financial support. Oh, let me talk about D-Class. I just saw someone who asked about, I gotta have some coffee. Holy cats, I've been talking too much. Kona with a little bit of hazelnut creamer. All right. Why have we not seen declassification of the FISA docs yet? Right? I know a lot of people are wondering about that. All right. Denise and I have been talking about it, and we have noticed that look at what's going on with Trump and Rosenstein first. Q has been telling us for the last month, Rosenstein is out, Rosenstein's going to resign, Rosenstein will be fired, Rosenstein, Rosenstein, Rosenstein. We've been hearing about that for a month. All right. There is a reason why Q has been hammering Rosenstein for the last month. All these warnings that when FISA is declassified, Rosenstein is toast. He's out of here, right? Ad nauseum. And then Rosenstein ends up on Air Force One with Trump. And Trump is like, hey, thumbs up for Rosenstein. And hey, we have a great relationship and everything's cool and not worried about the whole wearing a wire stuff. That just sort of magically disappears. What is happening with Rosenstein? I was going down the road where Q was leading us. I'm playing the game, right? If Q 4 months ago said Rosenstein might be a white hat, maybe Trump recruited him at the beginning of the operation, maybe they snuck him in to fake out the deep state. I'm following Q. If Q says Rosenstein could be a white hat, I'm like, okay, cool. Rosenstein might be a white hat. Last month, it's been Rosenstein is a black hat and he is out of here. We're going to get rid of him. And now Rosenstein is still hanging around. He's irritating Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows. He wants to meet with 2 Democrats and 2 Republican members of Congress in a classified setting in a SCIF if he's going to talk to them. And he gets on Air Force One and he goes to this meeting with Trump for law enforcement about a week ago down in Florida. So Rosenstein is connected to the FISA declassification because all these documents involve Carter Page, Bruce Orr's 302s, and the related documents. That is all has to do with the election. And Sessions is recused from that, so he can't get involved in it. So it's up to Rosenstein to decide when this stuff is going to be released. Now, some people would just take the view that Rosenstein is stalling because it's self-preservation. As long as he doesn't disclose any of these documents, his own involvement in the FISA, the Spygate thing, is hidden. Once it comes out, he's exposed, right? So that's what we're thinking. Now, Trump has already authorized the declassification. He has given the order to declassify it and give it to Congress and to make it public. But it hasn't happened yet. And you could think, okay, Rosenstein is in charge of when that's going to happen. And maybe Rosenstein is stalling. But here's the thing. Look at Trump's Twitter for the last week or two. Has he been screaming at Rosenstein? Has he been demanding declassification? No. Previously, when the Inspector General report was supposed to come out, when it was being delayed, Trump was hollering about it. Trump is not hollering about the declassification right now. He's not going after Rosenstein. He took a couple of swings at Sessions a couple of times, but I think that's just necessary to keep the game going. But this thing with Rosenstein is very interesting. I see Trump right now. He is totally in the driver's seat. He has the wind at his back. And when the FISA docs are declassified, when Bruce Orr's 302s come out, the emails between McCabe, Comey, Loretta Lynch, no, she wasn't involved, Sally Yates, Bruce Orr, all those people, those emails related to FISA, the FISA application, and Bruce Orr's 302s, those all are going to be declassified at some point. When those things come out, it provides a lot of evidence that is going to take down the deep state. But right now, Trump doesn't need that. What Trump needs is he needs to focus on votes. And 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, he needed to focus on Kavanaugh, right? Q gave us this list. It was a laundry list. And it was a chronological order of what was going to happen. First, Kavanaugh, and getting Justice K confirmed was the first thing on the list. That was a couple weeks ago. Then it was Rosenstein. Then it was FISA declass. All right. We haven't yet taken care of Rosenstein. We don't know what's going to happen with him. And until we know what's going to happen with Rosenstein, I don't think the declass is going to come. But here's the thing. Trump is focusing right now on the midterms, building momentum for the election. Now, he just today came out and told us that he, Paul Ryan, and members of Congress are working on a major tax break for middle-income people. And he wants to have this rolled out by the first week of November, right before the midterms. So Trump is working with Congress to create another massive tax break package for middle-income people right before the midterms. If they get that thing finished in the next 10 days and roll it out by November 1st, which is the date he's looking at, What does that do to the midterms? It completely blows up whatever Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, whatever they've got going on. It is going to totally devastate their base. And people are going to, whoever has not voted already is going to come in, and there's going to be a lot more votes for Trump and for the Republican Congress. So right now, I think Trump wants to keep the focus on the midterms, keep the focus on the crazy, unhinged, open borders, let these people come in, let's get rid of ICE. He's just focusing and hammering on the ridiculous ideas of his opponents. And he's putting it up on the broad screen for everyone to hear about it. He's putting them on blast for all of their crazy ideas. And I think right now, the declassification of the FISA docs and the 302s and the emails would be a distraction. I don't think Trump wants the media or anything focused on that now. He, for the next 10 days, he wants focus on the midterms, the elections, getting out the vote, walk away, and getting that red wave as built up as high as he can. So I would not be concerned about the D-class thing. I think that Trump may have suggested to Rosenstein, don't release the documents yet. This is not the time to do it. Let's wait. If those documents haven't been released and Trump's not screaming at Rosenstein about them, I would not worry about it. I think that Trump has a strategic time frame, and right now it's not on his time frame. He would rather build momentum for the midterms and have that be the focus. So that's my theory on why we haven't seen the declass yet. I don't think we need to see those documents declassified yet. I think after the midterms, that'll be on the front burner. Just my thoughts. I could be wrong. I'll be the first one to admit I could be wrong. Official Anthony, thank you for being the first person to open my eyes to CQ. Where we go one, we go all. Anthony, thank you, brother. Appreciate the financial support and appreciate you being on the Q team. Let's see. CP Gleason 72, your recent post about China, you need to research unrestricted warfare. China's master plan to destroy America. It'll open your eyes to how the left are the enemy combatants. Thank you. I may have to look into that. I know that China is much more of a threat than most people want to admit.
And Pence just did a speech about that.
And Pence's speech about our policy toward China was a real eye-opener. So, Mr. Gleason, thank you. I will take that under advisement. Appreciate it. Geraldine Leach, thank you for keeping us informed. Hey, it's my job right now. Thank you for your support. Kathleen B., thank you for your support. Joe Reinhardt, for me, the greatest story revealed in the 2016 cycle through the Podesta emails, Padogate, Spirit Cooking, is the untold, ignored, complicit MSM avoidance for years. These people are sick. Yes, the big untold story is the fact that the mainstream media didn't just ignore this, but what we're finding out now is they were complicit in this. Who is getting arrested now? We're having reporters and people inside of the intelligence community being outed as leakers. And I think before this is all done, the mainstream media, some of those people are probably going to end up being arrested. And a lot of the people in the intelligence community are going to be arrested for leaking stories to set up this narrative. And no, you're right. I mean, that is the untold story, is that the mainstream media didn't just ignore it. They were complicit in it. Bass Boat Hero, trying to clean your house now. Well, hey, get working. The day is moving along and the afternoon is coming. Appreciate the support. Thank you very much. All right, let me go back to looking at questions in the chat. Oh, you know what? Let me talk about 5G technology. All right. A lot of people are concerned about 5G cell phone technology. I would just caution people to don't be hysterical. Don't freak out over the 5G thing. Look, there is very little in the way of solid, reputable research that's out there on 5G technology that suggests it is a serious health risk. Now, let me clarify that. You can go online and you can find articles on 5G technology, and you can read articles from people who claim to be experts in this. And they insist that this is a serious health hazard, that it is a known health hazard, that we know it's going to burn people's skin, and they just insist that that's the case. Here's the problem. I've done some research on 5G technology. I've read a lot of articles. I've read what research is out there. And I've read a lot of medical papers over my career. As far as academic quality, well-researched articles, there is very little out there that you can put your finger on and say, here is some really solid evidence, some research that proves that 5G is a health hazard. There just isn't a whole lot. There are articles out there, but the methods that they use to do the research, it's all anecdotal. It's just all anecdotal evidence. You know, they have a story here, a story there about, you know, we infer and we imply from this research on a related frequency that it's probably going to hurt people. The problem is with the actual frequency that they use in 5G, there isn't anything out there where they can demonstrate that actual frequency has been used on human subjects and it has caused any kind of damage. So here is my bottom line. I know that Trump is as concerned about the environment and about health and issues like that as anybody. I believe we're going to see a lot of exposure of corruption in big pharma, in the health industry. Trump is not afraid to take on big companies and companies that are doing things that are bad for our health. I believe that Trump has people that are smart enough to know that if 5G poses a legitimate health risk to us, they're not going to let it happen. They won't let it go through. I trust Trump enough to know that if they decide if they authorize 5G networks, they have to have done the research to know that it's going to be okay for us. So I do not worry about 5G until I see some solid research. I'm going to assume that 5G is okay. And if you want to disagree with me, you're welcome to disagree with me. That's fine. I have looked at, I did a Twitter thread on 5G. I posted a whole bunch of articles that I found on 5G technology. And like I said, I wasn't really convinced with what I saw that 5G can be proven to be a health hazard. So if that helps anybody, I'm happy to share that. BL Emerson, you're the best PM. Love from Cheeseland. You must be watching the Wisconsin Badgers play today. I think they whooped up on Illinois today, so there you go. Thank you. CA, do you think the Honduran march is at all an op to affect the midterms? Solomon, yes. I think the march across Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico, it is definitely about optics. We know that there were people down there handing out money to these marchers to get them to go across Mexico. I think they wanted to portray Trump as an evil dictator, and George Soros money goes a long way to do stuff like that. Fortunately, Trump has made some good inroads with the Mexican president and their military. shut that thing down. As far as I know, they're not letting anyone come into Mexico, and they're turning everybody around. So I think we're safe with that. So it's a good question, though.
Somebody asked, do you see the hearts of Americans turning back to Christ?
Yes.
And we do.
We do. Do we see the hearts of Americans turning back to Jesus? Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think most people in America are Christians. Not everybody, obviously. One of the things that I think is going to surprise a lot of people from the Q movement and from Trump's takedown of global corruption is, I believe it's going to cause the greatest spiritual awakening that we've seen in 2,000 years. I think we're going to see a global spiritual awakening where people are going to repent of their own evil and wickedness, and they're going to turn to God. I have already seen a lot of evidence of that. I get messages every week from people who are following Q, looking at what Trump is doing. And whether they were atheists or New Agers or agnostics, people are realizing, holy mackerel, when you look at especially if you look at the depravity of these people and the sick, disgusting things that they've done to children and how that is being exposed, and these bodies that have been hidden in these funeral homes in Detroit, as that level of darkness is exposed, it is going to cause people to look at themselves and realize, and one of the things with a lot of people is they don't think that evil exists. You know, who am I to judge somebody else? How do I have a right to say that that is evil? Maybe just have a different preference, right? This moral relativism where you don't really want to say that that behavior is evil, that is coming to an end. When you see the kind of depravity that these people are involved in, it is forcing people to admit that evil exists. And once you admit evil exists, you have to admit that good exists. And then you get into this question of, okay, well, what does God say about all of this? And who is the creator? And who is the moral lawgiver? And you go down that road. And I think that the exposure of evil on a global scale is going to cause a lot of people to look at their own sin, look at their own shortcomings, and I think it's going to make them turn to God. A lot of people are going to turn to God, I think, because, and I feel like this is what the Lord is saying, they're going to see that God saved their nation from destruction. They're going to recognize that their nation was on the cliff, on the edge of destruction, and God brought them back from the edge of destruction. And a lot of people are going to turn to God in thankfulness because he saved their nation. I think we're going to see a global spiritual awakening. And the Great Awakening that Q talks about, I believe, is a spiritual awakening as much as anything else. Diane Lambert, thank you very much for your financial support. I really appreciate that. TV, thank you. Came on to the Q party late. I appreciate your insight. Hey, you know what? You're never late to the party when you're with us. So thank you for joining the party, and thank you for financial support. Susan Rhodes, what is happening with Assange? Good question. So, we don't really know what is happening with Julian Assange. We really don't know. He has been asked to testify in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, but I believe he rejected their offer because the same group of people in the Senate Intelligence Committee sent a letter to the Ecuadorian embassy asking that his asylum be removed. They want him silenced. They don't want him talking. So Assange could potentially be a witness in this upcoming lawsuit that the DNC has against Trump and Paul Manafort and Russia. The Democratic National Committee has a pending lawsuit against all those people for rigging the election. They say that they all colluded with Russia to rig the election. Well, they have a lawsuit against Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, Trump, Manafort, Russia. Well, Assange and WikiLeaks are defendants in that lawsuit. Assange could be called to testify in that lawsuit. We're waiting. I don't really have an ETA on when that is going to happen. Will Assange actually testify in that trial? I don't know. I suspect things will go well for Assange, but I don't really have anything solid I can hang my hat on other than that. So thank you, Susan, for your financial support. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you a better answer than that. BL Emerson, you're the best PM. Love from Cheese. Oh, we already talked about that. I'm being redundant here. All right. Let's see. Aloha Pigeons. Should there be a Q hand gesture so people attending rallies can show their Q support? Make a circle with your hand and your thumb out like a Q, like this, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't get to be the one who decides that. We'd have to come to a consensus on that, I think, somehow. All right. Let me go back to the chat and see if I can find another question I can answer. All right, let me talk about Mike Pence. There have been no end of rumors and videos and people talking about Mike Pence being a pedophile. Look, if you want to believe that Mike Pence is a pedophile, you're welcome to believe whatever you want to. But logical thinking. Does Trump have access to information from the National Security Agency? No such agency. Yes. Trump has access to all private emails, private communications, text messages, videos for the last 25 years through the NSA. Trump has it all. If Mike Pence was involved in any kind of pedophile activity, do you think Trump would know about it? Do you think somebody in the NSA might have tipped Trump off that his vice president was a pedophile? Maybe. If Mike Rogers is a patriot, if General Flynn is a patriot, and they were concerned about the integrity of the Republic, the integrity of the White House, and the safety and security of Trump, if they knew or suspected Pence was a pedophile, they would have said something about it to Trump. Do you think that they would risk allowing Pence to stay in the White House knowing that he was a pedophile? You can't tell me that if he is, they don't know about it, because they have the dirt on everybody. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Eric Prince, General Flynn, Admiral Rogers, they all know where the bodies are buried. They know everybody's secrets. Anybody who's a player, they have the secrets on everybody. There's no way they wouldn't know about that. And there's no way, if they did know about it, that they would let him stay in the White House and be a risk for blackmail. Because anybody who's involved in pedophilia and anyone who is known to be involved in pedophilia is a risk for blackmail. That is what they do to politicians. They get them in a compromising situation, they get them involved in pedophile activities, they record it on video, and then they use it as blackmail against them. Pence would be subject to blackmail by the deep state and by all the Democrats. If Pence is guilty of that, don't you think that they would have used it against him already? You don't think that the video would have come out? You don't think that they would have blackmailed Pence? How is it that if Pence is involved in pedophilia, no one has blackmailed him, no one has made anything public, the Democrats seem to have nothing on him, and Rogers and General Flynn have said nothing about it? If you think through these things logically, all those conspiracy theories, you can kind of just shoot them all down. And I do not think Pence is a pedophile. I know that there are a lot of people out there that have videos about it. That's fine. Logical thinking to me, dictates he can't be a pedophile. He wouldn't be on the team if he was. So, my 2 cents. I know some people don't want to hear that answer, but that's what I think. JSN Seattle, thank you so much for your financial support. Thank you much. We love your support. Please keep us in prayer. All right, let me see if I can get to the chat here again. Nikki Haley. Boy, Nikki Haley is an interesting situation, isn't she? I don't quite know what to think yet about Nikki Haley. There has been rumors and speculation that Nikki had somebody in her circle of friends who was trying to get her to run for president in 2020 against Trump. Now, that is rumor and speculation. And it's interesting to me that the first thing she did publicly when she announced that she was stepping down as UN ambassador, she said publicly, I am not running against Trump for the 2020 in the 2020 election. Because those rumors had already been spreading. So I don't quite know what to make of Nikki's stepping down from the UN. I think, as usual in politics, there's more than meets the eye. They have the public narrative, and then there's something privately going on behind the scenes. I have no idea what that is going on behind the scenes. I really don't know. I think it's something that we need to watch out for and just kind of look at and observe. I wouldn't necessarily make any judgments, but you know, something may come up in the future. Hard to tell. Somebody had a question about something else I wanted to talk about, and it just went flying past. Oh, Israel. Israel for last. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about when Q said, very important reason why Israel has never been mentioned once, saving the best for last. Okay. A lot of people, I think, have misunderstood what that means. Q said that in the context of what was currently happening in Iran and Syria and Israel, and that was at the end of, I think it was the end of May, or early May. It was when Netanyahu provided public evidence that he said proved that Iran and Syria were continuing their nuclear weapons program in violation of the Iran deal. They had all these CDs and DVDs of evidence of plans and, you know, all the things that they had been doing to work on their weapons, nuclear weapons. Now, Q at that time was explaining that the Uranium One deal was secretly funneling some uranium to Iran and Syria to allow them to continue their weapons program. All right? And it was Israel and their intelligence and Mossad that exposed that, and they had evidence that they were continuing their weapons program. My understanding of when Q said there's a reason why Israel wasn't mentioned, saving the best for last, I could be wrong, but I took that as we have kept Israel out of this conversation because they're going to play an important role, and the role that they played was exposing the lies and the deception that Iran was using to continue their nuclear weapons program in violation of the sanctions that they had agreed to. So that's my understanding of it. I don't think that Israel is going to be exposed as some big, nefarious, you know, dark state actor. And I know a lot of people are expecting that. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, having said that, there are corrupt elements inside of Mossad, just like there are corrupt elements in the CIA and the FBI and the Department of Justice. Russian intelligence, they have corrupt people. Chinese intelligence has corrupt people. I think there's corruption is kind of, I don't want to say it's endemic, but it is present in every intelligence community. So it shouldn't surprise us that there is corruption inside of Mossad. But I don't think that makes Israel completely a bad actor. Obviously, Trump relies on his relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel as a strategic partner in the Middle East. And it's very interesting to me that Netanyahu and Mohammed bin Salman are working together, and the King of Jordan, they're working together as a coalition to help provide housing and a better situation for the Syrian refugees. I like the fact that there's a lot of cooperation going on in the Middle East, and I think that's what we're going to see over the long haul. We're going to see a lot more cooperation, and I expect we're going to see Iran coming to the peace negotiation table with a new deal with Trump, with a legitimate peace deal, relatively soon. All right, let's see. Back to the top chat. Let's see. Kindness Heals and Jay in Seattle, and I am looking at more questions. Where is Vincent? I don't know. I have no idea where Vincent is, and I'm not really following him. Is Q Flynn? We are going to find out one of these days if Q is Flynn. If I had to bet money, if you made me do it, General Flynn would be near the top of the list of people that I would think would be involved in the Q movement. Obviously, the general doesn't have an official title and status inside the Trump administration because of what happened with the Mueller investigation. But I suspect that Trump is putting General Flynn's skills, knowledge, and ability to very good use. So I like to think that General Flynn is involved in the Q movement. I will tell you this. If you look at the people that General Flynn is following on Twitter, he's following most of the people that are involved in Q. If somebody is posting publicly about Q, very good chance General Flynn is following them. Just a little, data point that you can take for whatever it's worth. The Q clock. The Q clock. All right. Let me talk about the Q clock and some other things too. There are a lot of things out there that Q has talked about. The clock, the map. Q has mentioned a lot of different things. In order for us to understand the keystone, a lot of different things. In order for us to understand what any of these concepts mean, according to Q, we have to take a stab at it, make a guess, and throw up an answer. And you used to have to do that on 4chan or 8chan, but you don't have to do that anymore. Q has people that are looking on Vote, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, different platforms. I know that Q is following my posts on Twitter. If I do a thread and Q is posting on something, a lot of times the things that I post on Twitter, they'll show up on the research board, and Q will repost things. So I know that some of my guesses and my hunches and my things are being followed by Q, and Q has sometimes confirmed those as correct. All right. Q gives us clues and wants us to take guesses so that he can confirm when we're right. And if he doesn't confirm that we're right, there's a good chance that we're not right. All right? You get it? All right. If Q puts something out there and 100 people guess at what it means, and Q doesn't confirm any of those guesses, my assumption is nobody has come up with the correct guess yet. No one has a right interpretation. Right? The clock. I have seen variations of the clock diagram on 8chan on the board now for 4 or 5 months. I see them all the time. People are posting clock images. Q has never confirmed anybody's clock diagram yet. What does that mean to me? I see people, I have friends who are posting things related to this clock diagram all the time, but Q has never confirmed anybody's decode on the clock yet. To me, that means nobody has figured out the clock yet. I know people like to think they have the right decode, but if Q doesn't confirm it, it's still speculation. And that's the way it is. And look, it's the same way with JFK Jr. Q has mentioned JFK Jr. one time, and only one time. In the 2,400 posts that Q has put out, Q has only mentioned JFK Jr. once. And that reference was to the plane crash when JFK was running against Hillary in 1999 for the 2000 New York Senate seat. JFK Jr. was running against Hillary. JFK Jr.'s plane crashes, and Q kind of asked a question, you know, is it a coincidence? And then also in that post was the beginning, I think it was the start of something. It was an obscure post. It was in reference to Hillary and a question of whether or not his plane may have been tampered with and why it crashed. Okay, that was the context of that post. At that point, I don't think Q ever suggested that JFK is still alive. And that is the only thing Q has ever said about JFK Jr. All right, Q has actually posted about 9 or 10 or 11 posts about JFK Sr., John Kennedy, the president, only once about Jr. And when Q took that break in July for 20 days, somebody got on 8chan and started this R phenomenon. And they got people believing that this person was posting as R was JFK Jr. And it got a lot of following because Q was not posting at the time. So for 20 days, people were following this R phenomenon, thinking that Q was done, and now we were going to be following R, and it was JFK Jr. And that thing took on a life of its own, and it's been going ever since then. One of the first things Q did when he came back on the board, someone said, "What about R?" Like, hey, you know, we're all following R now. And what did Q say? There is only Q. That was Q's answer. There is no R. There is only Q. Forget about R. R doesn't matter. So I know this is going to irritate people. And I know people are going to say that I said things I didn't say. But Q has not pointed us towards JFK Jr. Q has not told us to dig into JFK Jr.'s life and see if JFK Jr. is still alive. I realize there are some very good people, and I love them, and they are fascinated by this possibility that JFK Jr. is still alive. That's okay. If you want to do that, go ahead. I prefer to stick to what Q is posting about. And Q has only posted once about JFK Jr., and it was kind of a suggestion that maybe his airplane was tampered with that made it crash. That is what I get out of it when I read that post. So, until such a time as Q leads us into digging into JFK Jr.'s life and finding out more about it, I'm just not all that interested. To me, it's a distraction. That's what it is. To me, there are other things that are much more important in the grand scheme of things. FISA is a big issue. the midterms is a big issue. The corruption of other global corruption, even human trafficking, things like that, I think are much bigger issues than whether or not JFK Jr. is alive. I think people are making a really big deal out of something that probably doesn't deserve that much attention. That's just my take. And I'm probably going to get a bunch of hate mail over that, because whenever I mention JFK Jr., people get irritated because I'm not on board with the JFK Jr. thing, but it is what it is. I don't hate people, and I'm not going to talk bad about people who are following the JFK Jr. thing. If they want to do that, that's fine. It's just not my thing. All right. Let me go back to the top chat. Cindy Thon, financial collapse. I don't think so. You know, prior to the election of President Trump, I had a lot of dreams about financial collapse. Actually, I have a book I told you about earlier. It's called A Kingdom View of Economic Collapse, because I was somewhat certain that if things didn't change, we were headed for financial collapse, hyperinflation, and some very bad things. Trump came along and turned things around. He has lit the economy on fire. He has revamped the tax code. He has done a lot of things to reinvigorate and energize the financial situation in the United States. In the U.S., definitely, I do not see a financial collapse coming. I haven't had any dreams about financial collapse since probably 2014. So it's been about 4 years since I've had any dreams about financial collapse. I used to have them quite often. Financial collapse, what to do after the financial collapse, how we are going to create a new financial a stock market. I had a lot of dreams related to things that would happen after the financial collapse. I haven't had any dreams about that in the last 4 years. I think Trump has pretty much taken that off the calendar, and I think we're going to see very good financial times all the way through Trump's presidency. That's what I'm seeing. Let's see. Rhonda Roberts, thank you for your financial support. The Jack of It, I appreciate all your hard work. God bless you, Patriot. Thank you, Jack, as well. Let's see. Garrett Sleister, God bless you. I strayed from God watching my high school girlfriend get brain cancer young. She miraculously got well, but I got mentally sick for a decade. Thank you, Q, you, Neon Revolt, and found God again. Hey, I like Neon Revolt. He is an interesting fellow. He has a very interesting writing style. I've learned a lot from Neon, following some of his QD codes. He deep dives into things that I really don't spend much time talking about, like the pay-sewer thing. Oh gosh, he was all over that. He knew everything about the pay-sewers. He's done a lot of research on it. One of the cool things about this movement is that everybody has kind of an area of specialization. Some people are looking into JFK Jr. Some people are looking into the Illuminati and the human sacrifice aspect of things. Some people are looking into things like my specialization really is FISA and the intelligence community, FBI, DOJ, and all of that, how all that stuff works. It was kind of funny because I was doing political news and commentary really for a short period of time, 3 or 4 months before Q showed up. And I had already been looking into FISA and the whole process, Spygate, and the illegal use of the intelligence community. So that was already in my wheelhouse. That was my comfort zone when Q came along. And when Q got to talking about FISA and all that stuff, I was like, giddy up, let's go, I'm ready for it. So I think it's very interesting how Lisa Mae Crowley and myself and all the different Q decoders, we all have different areas of things we specialize in. Serial Brain is another one. Man, I've looked at some of Serial Brain's decodes and I'm like, wow, this dude This dude is brilliant. He puts together the numbers and the letters and the different sequences. His mind thinks in a very different way from how I think. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool how different people decode different things in different aspects, and they focus on different things. It makes us like a body. Like we all fit together like different parts of a body. One of the amazing things about the Q movement. All right. Rural Juror, love your videos, very informative. Say hi to Wendy for me. I will do that. Rural Juror, I'm interested in knowing what the jury thing is about. You must be on a jury. There's a lot of us that are on juries lately. Not going to incriminate myself. All right.
You could wrap it up soon.
Yeah, I probably should, because I think we're going to need to do dinner here pretty soon. Steve Bannon. We have not heard the last from Steve Bannon. I don't know specifically what Bannon is up to, but I think we're going to hear more from Bannon. He's up to something. He's involved in something. I don't know what it is exactly. What's for dinner? I don't know yet. It's too late to make ribs. We'll have to figure something out for dinner. I will have to come up with something.
I don't even know what time it is.
It's 4:20. Let's see. Trust Sessions. That is correct. And Giuliani is a good guy. I'm not sure what role Giuliani is going to play yet, but he's a good guy. I was not at the rally last night. I was right here. I had some things that I had to do. I had to take care of. Those who got into the rally, they got there pretty early. 8 or 9 o'clock. Denise has had a fever off and on for about the last 5 days. She has not been feeling well, and I didn't want to drag her out there with her not feeling well. So we watched the rally here from home, and it was an awesome rally. Pork tenderloin would be good with a little bit of cranberry glaze. I do make that sometimes. All right, let me see. I think I'm going to wrap this up. We've been going on almost 2 hours. All right. What's that? Whoa, yeah, I know. That's why my throat's getting a little bit sore. I don't do well talking this long. That's why I do Q videos. I try to do more of them and shorter ones, 20, 25 minutes, because my throat gets sore after a while of lots of talking. You'll notice if you go back to June or July, I was doing videos that were an hour and a half, 2 hours long. I'm glad I don't have to do those anymore, because it's a strain on me to talk that long. All right, I'm going to shut this down. I have to make dinner for my lovely wife over there. I love you all. Keep us in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the president in prayer. And we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Now I have to figure out how to end this thing. I am so not technically savvy on this thing. You know what I could do? I could do this.